10:35 on the show. He's actually in studio. We're going to get to him in studio. This is pretty good. Dave, the IT guy, is here. Dave, the IT guy, has a few things. First of all, if you have a USB thumb drive, which most people do and use, hold on a second before you jam that thing into your port. There's a built-in flaw in this that could expose security issues for you, too, as well. We'll talk about that, this thing with the Russian hackers, if you're vulnerable. And he actually is now going to be on a TV show on the Weather Channel. What does IT and the Weather Channel have to do with each other? I have no idea, but he's in studio next to talk about it. Scott Sloan Show, 700 WL. Scott Sloan Show here at 700 WLW. He's Dave the IT guy and in studio this morning for a rare performance, because usually guys who are in the hacking, in this case white hat hackers, not the black hat, not the bad guys, but usually guys are up at like 4 o'clock in the morning chugging energy drink, and you guys don't come out during the day because it's like albino cockroach, your eyes roll back in your head. But Dave, good to see you.
Well, thanks. Glad to be seen, but this isn't my real face, right?
Right. So let's start with this, Dave. The story comes out. A lot of people use USB flash drives, which is a little thumb drive, goes on a keychain. You plug into a USB port, transfer files, video, all that stuff. And it's amazing because when they first came out, put a little bit of data, and now they're huge. Same size thing, but you can store volumes of information and HD video and all sorts of stuff. Makes it really portable. But we've found that those things now are a huge security risk. Why?
Well, you know what? The thumb drives can identify themselves to your computer as anything. They can say, hey, I'm a keyboard, I'm a mouse, I'm anything else but a thumb drive. And then by doing that, your system just automatically accepts it for what it says it is. And then you can download keyloggers and other programs to actively execute on your program.
Oh, wow. Computer. So it doesn't see it as a add-on media device. It sees it as, hey, this is a keyboard. It's a sound card. It's a whole bunch. It could be pretty much anything internal in that computer, right?
That's exactly right. You get to the point where your computer just doesn't know any better, and it does what you tell it to do. Yeah. And most people, when you see all these pop-ups, they just click whatever button that says, don't show me this pop-up again. And that just exposes more and more, to what your computer's vulnerable
What's
to.
the worst-case scenario with a USB drive, a thumb drive?
Something the most simplest thing that would just take you out is a keylogger system. You put this thing in, and it's got your pictures of your vacation on it, and you don't know that it has a keylogger on there. You go home, plug your vacation pictures into your laptop, and then now you start going to the bank account and checking out your 401k account to check out
it's tracking all that.
And it's tracking all your logins and passwords. Then you log in again about 5 days and see those balances say zero, and you're not sure how.
And you saw what happened right there, too. And I mean, typically, if I get a new thumb drive, that's okay, right?
If it's packaged fresh, still most chances are that it's not a problem. But you get a lot of these promotional thumb drives that you got to these events and somebody's handing out a thumb drive with their logo on it.
Right.
I could have done anything to them and just dropped it right back in the bin for you to give out.
And you have no idea. That was going to say, a lot of these things are handed out promotionally speaking, trade shows, and people have thousands of these things now. And it's like, hey, here you go. You take a bunch of them, you pre-program, you throw them back in the hat, and now you have people's device and information.
Out in Vegas, this week is DEF CON, and that's, one thing. But there are obviously thousands and thousands of events every year out in Vegas, and people give these away. And these hackers, they target, this is a financial services convention, and they go and they target that stuff. So during lunch, when the people in the booth are out away, I'm taking and I'm reprogramming real quick, and I'm dumping them back in. And
how long would it take to program? I don't know, 100, 200, 300 of these things?
Minutes. I mean, you can literally do these in volume.
Because everyone's like, go a thumb drive, and they give it to whatever. I'm going to use it for you've got probably a drawer full of these things, and some of those. Is there any way to scan the device to see what's on there?
Right now, most computers and software that you buy to scan don't scan thumb drives. And especially if your thumb drive is identifying itself to the computer as a keyboard, you're never scanning your keyboard, for viruses.
Would I notice that when I plug it in, and it would show up instead of a media device, detachable media device, it shows up as a keyboard?
Well, sometimes when you plug in a thumb drive, down in the bottom right corner, it says your new device is ready to use.
Right.
But for keyboards and mice, it generally won't say that.
Okay.
So the only way that you would know is if you're looking for, I plug my thumb drive in, I'm expecting to see something, I don't. You go into your computer management, your device manager, and you'll see, why do I have two keyboards? Something like that. So you have to know.
But most people aren't going to do that, though. Is it good policy just to maybe open that up and wipe it clean?
If it's a brand new one, yes. I mean, definitely take a look and see what you've got there. And
it's pretty easy to do, right?
It is. You open up just like my computer, and there it is.
Right-click on it and open it up.
Yeah. Every now and again, you have to do the show hidden files, make sure something's not hidden.
Delete it and all that stuff. Okay, good. That's good from Dave, the IT guy, this morning on 700 WLW. Hey, real quick here before I want to talk about, you got a TV show coming up here I want to talk about in a second, too. But give me your take on what's going on with the 1.2 billion passwords stolen by Russian hackers. Do we know what websites they're for yet and who's been compromised?
The security firm, oddly enough, was out of Wisconsin. Who thinks about security, IT security in Wisconsin?
Think about cheese.
That's right. So these guys, the one thing that they didn't do was they did not name names of what sites. What they did say, it was over 420,000 websites. That many of these sites are household names.
Oh, boy.
But none of the major email providers. So that takes out Gmail, that takes out Hotmail, MSN, Yahoo. Mm-hmm. Then you still have a lot of the smaller ones, of course, that may be compromised. But effectively what these guys did was they used a lot of keyloggers, like we just talked about. And they used a lot of these botnets to just monitor your strokes and start capturing that data. And, they may never, ever use it themselves, but it's
it's out there, right?
And it's got a dollar value. They can sell it to those that want it, and it's got a dollar value.
If you got 1.2 billion passwords, user IDs and passwords stolen, what on the black market, any idea what that's worth? What do they get for these things? Back
in 2010, a Russian criminal organization had 15,000 logins that they sold, and nobody even publicly knew what these logins were for. Mm-hmm. But they made $17 million for those.
Wow, off of those.
So you want to talk about 1.2 billion logins for something or another? I'm sure we're talking about in the hundreds of millions at least.
That's an incredible amount of money. And then they're sold on the black market, and then they're used for bad purposes too. So how do you know? Well, we don't know you said the websites, but if you know the websites, people don't know if they're affected or not. You could be affected. We don't even know it.
Exactly right. And I have to tell you that immediately when I read that article just a few days ago, everything that was important to me, my passwords to all my emails, my 401k, my Fifth Third banks, I went in and changed every one of my passwords just because. I have no idea if I'm on that list, but I'm certainly not going to take that chance.
That's a great idea. As far as password protection goes, I generally use a rotate between like everybody else. I know I shouldn't, but you change passwords. I can't remember the ones I changed it to, and my wife does all hers. We always joke about it, Dave. If one of us ever croaks, there's a lot of problems going on here. I can't access any of the banking info. I don't know what the passwords are. I had to write them down. It's a mess. How do you get past that? Is there a way to get around that?
I think we talked about it on a previous show about password vaults, and some are better than others. And you can Google, a ton of lists and see, the consistency of which one or two gets named the top. But password vault is the name of one of those. It's free. Mm-hmm. It's got some of the highest level encryption. You can put it on your thumb drive, so if you are somewhere else and you forget your password, you just pop your thumb drive in, and it auto-populates.
Gotcha.
So it doesn't even tell you what your password is. The only way you would know is if you did change my password at that website.
What about, do you trust something like, if you're a Mac user, like the keychain?
Yes, so far that hasn't been broken yet.
Okay.
There are security groups that on purpose are trying to break that just to notify Apple if there's a flaw. But so far that's been pretty secure.
Yeah, and that's an easy way. Then you can generate some code. You don't have to remember it because it's on your keychain, and you're good to go, right?
Right. And a lot of these other programs for the Windows-based PCs and even Android now. Android phones have what's called RATs, the remote access tools that people are now downloading to your phone through what looks like a program that might be fun or a game, and what it really is behind the scenes is a way to get into your phone. And there's probably really not a whole lot of value yet in getting into your phone, other than if you're a high-powered CEO or something and you've got some phone numbers of some other high-powered people, and now you want to start exploiting these people or calling them and threatening them or whatever. So there's probably some value with that. But.
All right, Dave, the IT guy on the Scott Sloan Show. Of course, he's our go-to guy with all this stuff. He's also going to be a TV star starting Sunday on Weather Channel. They're doing a TV show called Fat Guys in the Woods, and it's basically they take couch potatoes and throw them outdoors and trying to get them to survive. Now, the first episode, the premiere episode, is Sunday at 10, but Dave will be on next Sunday at 10 o'clock. And I know you can't divulge what the episode is about. If you win, is there a winners or losers? Everybody a loser in this.
That's right. Well, there's not really winners or losers. The idea is to get everybody to work as a team.
Okay.
And then the last night that we're there, they throw us out by ourselves for the night. So they send you a couple miles away from where you've been staying all week and say it's time for you to go build your own shelter, build your own fire, find what you want to eat, do whatever you want to do. You can explore the woods, hunt for game like a wild man, sit back and whittle and whistle, whatever you want to do, but just make it through. And, for those that don't know, we filmed this thing back in February down in the Appalachian Mountains.
Boy.
During the polar vortex. It was cold.
Oh, my gosh.
It iced. We had ice storms on us. We had snowstorms.
And you survived.
And it rained. So, yeah, it was crazy.
It had to be awful for you then.
It was a crazy
But
week.
you made it through.
I survived. I have to say that for me, one of the great benefits is that during that week I lost 19 pounds, and then since then I've lost 25 more.
Good for you!
Just being motivated. So
awesome.
It was a great experience, and some of the things that you don't realize you're learning about yourself, you catch after you get home. I didn't realize how bad I was about sitting around playing my Xbox all the time, or watching hacking videos and ridiculousness. And
now those old habits aren't creeping back in your life, are they?
They started to. That's funny that you brought that up. They started to, and recently my 8-year-old said, Daddy, when you got home, we were all doing all kinds of crazy stuff in March, and now here it's July, and it's hot, and you don't want to go out. And I'm like, dang, you're right.
Kids, right.
So, we go to the Hamilton County Fair, and now, get out and go to the parks and hike, and it's amazing how much I didn't realize that I had backslid.
Right.
And now my 8-year-old's keeping me accountable.
Good for you. No, but that's cool. So you survive in Fat Guys in the Woods. And who's the name of the host of the show? What's the guy's name?
His name is Stewart, and he's actually just right over in Indiana.
Oh, really?
And he's got a place called Willow Haven that he runs these things. But, the thing about Creek is that he was out there with us every night. And so he would show us different things, like how to start. Our episode, we had to start fire by rubbing sticks together. Other episodes use different methods. Mm-hmm. So in theory, if you watched all 8 episodes, you would learn 8 ways to build a shelter, 8 ways to start a fire, 8 ways to capture food, et cetera, et cetera. But Creek, he would show it to us, and then that was it. And he was out there with us. So if we failed, he failed too. He didn't get a chance to eat. He didn't get a chance to have a fire because he didn't do anything for us.
So pressure.
So, yeah, it was just,
But the guy's name is Creek. I think he needs to be brought down a couple of pegs because he's probably like 5% body fat. Women are all over him, right? He's that kind of guy, Creek. His name is Creek.
That's right, he is.
I already hate him.
That's right. He got the long blonde hair, so they were calling him, what's the guy from the book covers, the romance novels?
Whatever
his name was.
Right.
But
Fabio.
Fabio, so yeah, they did an interview with him on some show about this.
Yeah.
And they called him the Fabio of the
Creek
Woods.
Johnson, come on, seriously.
But, the one thing about him was that, he would show it to you what to do. And if you made a mistake, he wasn't like, look, dude, we're going to die. He was more of a guidance. And and one of the things that I took away from him wasn't so much as how to make it through that 1 week, but how to just have that mental awareness about myself, that I was capable of thinking outside the box.
Sure.
And that's what he brought to the table.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, teaching you to open
your
mind.
I love those kind of shows, too. All right, so that is premieres Sunday at 10 on Weather Channel, but your episode will be next Sunday. And Dave, the IT guy, thanks again for coming in, man. Good stuff. Appreciate seeing you.